Hey, it's Friday on Slurve. I am Steve, bringing you some cash game cornerstones for tonight's big slate. Obviously, we got a game in Coors Field, so pretty much any play is in play to some degree there. But there is some nice pitching on the slate too that you're probably going to want to get in your lineups. I mean, let me just tell you right now, you're going to want to get Max Scherzer in your cash lineups. I see absolutely zero reason to fade him. So that, he's 13.9, I want to say. I'll let Adam cover the pitching in more detail. But depending on who you get for your cash second pitcher, you're going to need to save on some bats somewhere. So I will, rather than just list all the people playing in Coors Field for you, I will put them in there, but also, try for some cheaper guys. And catcher is a good place to get some cheaper guys, even in Coors Field. I'm sure Wellington Castillo will probably be quite popular today. He just has not looked right. He seems a bit injured to me. I watch a lot of Arizona games because I play them a lot. So, and he just has not looked right. The Arizona broadcasters have commented on it and stuff. So I'm not big on that. Not at 4K. And not when we get Hundley against Archie Bradley, who's not that good. Been playing way above his ability. For 3.4 on DK and 3.2 on FanDuel, not bad at all. If you don't like that, then I got Stephen Vogt for you for 3.3 against Jared Weaver, or 3.2 on FanDuel is the same. And on FanDuel only, I like Russell Martin against Rodon for 3K for the cheap option on FanDuel. He's way too much on DK to consider with those other options. First base is an interesting one. It's always a really important position, and if you are going to pay up for just one guy in Coors Field, you might want to make that Paul Goldschmidt. He gets a matchup against the lefty in Tyler Anderson. I'm a little bit iffy because I think Tyler Anderson is probably a lot better of a pitcher than we know at this point. The early stuff I see, there's not a whole lot for his major league stuff, but his minor league stuff and stuff I've looked at, it's not too bad. Not good enough for me to want to consider playing him in Coors Field, but good enough that I hesitate to stack up Arizona. But I don't worry about that too much with Goldie because he is absolutely elite. And for 5.5 on DK, he better be. 4.9 on FanDuel is another thing. Now, the next guy I'm going to recommend, there's some caveats because on the surface, I don't know. I'll just get it out there. Hanley Ramirez. I really like Hanley Ramirez as a differentiation play today. I think he has a really nice game in Texas against Nick Martinez. He's 4.3 on DK, just wonderful savings there, and 3.1 on FanDuel, even better there. But especially on FanDuel, there's risk to that, and I do not mind at all if you want to go David Ortiz for 5.6 on DK. I would go to Goldie there probably, but 4.2 on FanDuel is quite reasonable if you are not sold on Goldie against Tyler Anderson, or if the weather gets bad there. I haven't actually looked at the weather yet today, so we'll see about that. One of my favorite ways to get exposure to the Red Sox, who actually have a higher team total than Arizona today. I think it's 5.6 last I looked, and Arizona was like 5.1. And that's through Dustin Pedroia, who's been kind of cold lately. But I think Nick Martinez is a nice matchup for him. He's 4.1 on DK and 3.9 on FanDuel, so really nice cheap play there. My only real question there is if I like him better than Daniel Murphy against Zach Davies, who's probably the better pitcher they're facing of the two. For the same price on DK, 4.1, a little bit cheaper on FanDuel, 3.6. But FanDuel has Coors priced kind of too low, so I certainly do not mind and probably would go with Gene Segura against Anderson. 5K on DK, it's just like, ugh, really? 3.8 on FanDuel I can do despite my slight misgivings about Anderson maybe being better than we know. So I hope you had Jake Lamb yesterday as I recommended, because he was damn good. I think 21 points, he had a home run. It was a nice game for him. I don't like him quite as much in the lefty-lefty matchup. The last projected lineup I saw actually didn't even have him in it. I don't know if that will happen or not, but don't love him in this matchup. Would rather go to the other side and get Nolan Arenado against Bradley. He is priced up today. He was a little cheaper yesterday, and had a nice game too. Well, he had a decent game. 5.4 on DK is, really expensive. You're gonna have trouble getting more than one or two of these guys tops in there. 4.4 on FanDuel, cheaper but still there. But I really like Alex Rodriguez today against Tommy Milone, a not particularly good left-handed pitcher. And he can do some damage to guys like that. 3.8 on DK and 3.4 on FanDuel. It's a decent place to get away from Coors Field a little bit and save some money. Speaking of getting away from Coors Field, nope, not going to do it here. I love Trevor Story. I'm always a little nervous to recommend him in cash because 37% strikeout rate last I looked is pretty intense. It's Chris Davis kind of territory. But if you're comfortable playing Chris Davis, there's no reason you shouldn't be comfortable playing Trevor Story in Coors Field. 5.1 on DK is still one of the cheaper exposures to Colorado anyway. But it's nothing. It's expensive, and it's nothing like the 3.3 on FanDuel that he is just way, way too cheap there. He's the same price as Brad Miller on FanDuel, and that's just not okay. The guy with Story's talent in Coors Field. I don't care who he's facing. Bradley. Anyway, he's too cheap there. Play him. But if you need a cheap guy on DK, I don't love it, but I don't hate Nick Ahmed against Anderson for 2.8 or 2.7 on FanDuel. But why are you not just playing Story there? I wish I had another option to offer there because on DK especially, I don't, putting Story in is going to be difficult, and I don't feel real confident in Ahmed. It's basically a Coors Field punt. But I don't have anybody that I really like to put in there right now. So hopefully by the live chat at 4:30 Eastern or so, I will have another guy to tell you about there. But for now, Story and Ahmed. I mentioned before, but I'll say it again, anybody in Coors Field is in play in some regard. They're just mostly very expensive, so I'm not going to bother listing everybody. Plus, with the pitching the way it is, we need to get good pitching in our cash lineups. We need to fade some guys in Coors Field. In the outfield, you might consider Yasmani Tomas. I'm not real sold on it. He struck out like 3 times yesterday. I mean, that's not why. It's just I am concerned about Anderson as a pitcher, and maybe I'll look silly at the end of the night for being worried about that at all when Arizona scores 12 runs or something. But for the prices we're paying, I just don't feel too confident in that. I'd rather take a guy like Blackman against Bradley that's at least more of a known commodity. 5.3 on DK, like I said, you're paying up for any of these guys. 4.3 on FanDuel. I do not expect Carlos Gonzalez to play. I was watching the game yesterday, and that injury did not look good. He took a big swing and did something he shouldn't have with his wrist, it looked like, and immediately grabbed at it, and I do not expect him to be in the lineup. But if he is, I think I like him better, but the injury risk just kind of makes me a little nervous there too. And then, I've been saying we need some savings, so here we go. I got some DK savings for you. You may or may not like it. Depending on whether you choose to play David Price in cash or not, it's not one of my favorite options yet. Still need to look into that some more. I don't know who I like for my second pitcher yet either. But if you're not playing him, I like Shin-Soo Choo, assuming he makes it in the lineup. It's a lefty-lefty matchup. I can hear Eric cringing from St. Louis, but regardless of that, it doesn't scare me as much as it scares him. Choo has posted slightly positive splits against lefties in the last 12 months. I'm not saying he's a reverse splits hitter, just that it's not maybe as big a deal. Price is more or less the same versus lefties and righties on the season. Like 240, 285 WOBA versus lefties, and like 240 lefties, 280 righties. It's close, whatever. He also strikes out the lefties less, so nice chance there. If Choo's leading off for 2.5 on DK, 3.1 on FanDuel, I'm not really interested there. But I don't think I can pass up that kind of savings for a player of Chu's caliber, even against a guy like David Price, even if he's only getting, one at bat against a reliever. That it's probably going to be very hot in Texas today. It's a good field for hitting. I like a lot of things about that for 2.5K on a day that we need savings. And then I also, speaking of savings, I like Joey Rickard, a frequent appearer in my savings aisle against Matt Moore. And he is 3.5 on DK and 2.8 on FanDuel, so nice savings all around. We got Aaron Blair facing the Mets, who I always want to believe is better than he is, because the Mets lineup is so bad lately that I want to target them. But didn't work out with Whistler yesterday, so well, just spoiler alert. All that said, I like Granderson an awful lot against him. He's usually leading off. He's 4K on DK, just a nice price for him. 3.7 on FanDuel is okay too. So I really like him in that spot. And then I always like Jay Bruce and Adam Duvall, and today is no different, especially against Colin Ray. Not particularly good. They're in a great ballpark for hitting. Bruce is 5K on DK and 4.1 on FanDuel, so definitely a stronger play on FanDuel. And Duvall is 4.8 on DK and 3.6 on FanDuel, so same kind of situation there. Love those guys. I wouldn't be surprised if one or both of them go long today, and I'll have some more on that when I bring you my Daily Dong Finder article later on this afternoon. And make sure you come on by for the expert chat, 4:30 Eastern. And good luck tonight, guys. We're going to have fun discussing some lineups in the expert chat and taking all your questions and just having a good old time. Good luck in this wonderful Friday full 15-game slate.